Sonic Boom by Beckerman and Gray introduces a lot of interesting concepts. Throughout the book, they walk the reader through the initial auditory response, how it influences their everyday decisions, how they think, how they feel, how they buy, and then it goes on to explain the science of how to create the anthems that bring people together and tell a story, and then how to, from there, break those into the little sonic logos that we hear, the jingles on the radio, the ringtones that they put out for phones, the little beeps that you hear in every little piece of technology that we have that somehow trigger you back to a brand or a product or service or an experience. And it's something that I had never quite considered until reading this book, but after spending 2 weeks focusing on every little thing that I hear and enduring quite a bit of sensory overload, I have to say that I agree with them that harnessing the power of sound is a very useful tool, and when used right can be quite lucrative. The most proof that I've ever gotten is literally just working. I'm employed by an automotive garage, and every day all I hear is noise, whether it's talking with customers, the traffic outside, all the tools being used in the shop. It's not something that most people would want to hear every day. It's a lot like working at a construction site. But as I focus, I can tell which tools are being used, who's using an impact, who's fixing the flat, who's mounting a tire, and I can keep track of what jobs are being done and what the progress is just by listening. I don't even have to walk out in the shop to hear it. Though on the other hand, that means that all of that noise is coming through the glass doors into my showroom, and that's all the customers can hear while they sit and they wait and they try to be patient while we work on their car. The skill set needed to create that false quiet, that sense of calm and peace, like Disney does for all of their guests between attractions, is something that I would love to be able to do, but the science seems to be somewhat elusive for those who haven't been as immersed in the sound world as our talented authors. Being able to pull together all the different nuances needed to weave that perfect scene that you will hear and then start to relax and experience is something that a lot of the general public don't understand, which is another thing that I've noticed more and more often is just out and about, going to restaurants or clubs or hanging out with friends. I hear little jingles that, you'll hear it and all of a sudden you'll think, well, that sounds really good. Why don't we go here for lunch or dinner? Or why don't we go get a drink at this bar because they're playing this really awesome music? You'll hear it on the street and suddenly you'll just kind of drift in the door. I've also seen some of my friends have kind of bought into the gimmick that some establishments will ring a bell or there's a whistle or they'll kick up a cheer whenever, a patron kind of joins into this club that they have going on that night, which it seems like a really great idea to kind of buy in, and then afterwards you're like, why did I do that? Because it's not something that you were wanting to do, it's not something that was on the bucket list, but it sounded like a good idea because everybody else was doing it and you wanted to be part of the experience. Having read this book, it's kind of mind-boggling, and then once you start paying attention, you're just overloaded because of all the sonic trash that you're suddenly paying attention to that your brain was filtering out without thinking about it. But more and more, I realize that everything that we do, like there's not a moment in my day where I don't have music or a musical playing on the TV, something in the background that gives me a beat to work with. Whether it's slow and relaxing, or it's upbeat for workouts, or something. But I've watched friends and coworkers and family do the same thing, and there's always something going on, even if they're not listening to anything. The white noise of just sitting there, you have the AC, or animals running around, or there's small children in the other room. There's always something that's influencing us on an auditory level. And now that my eyes are open to it, it's unsettling and amazing at the same time.